All right, Jason, I think it's time to bring on a friend of the show.
Yeah.
We got to dissect what we're seeing in the playoffs, all right? Because I know we got 76ers Raptors going on right now.
We had Blazers last night.
Lot to talk about. Zach Brook with NBC Sports Washington. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. Love having you on. Now, what do you think has been the most entertaining aspect of the Eastern Conference playoffs?
I think just the overall competitiveness, because this is the first time, and I don't even know how long. There's no LeBron, so there's always one series in the second round that's very competitive, and then normally one of them that's kind of like a joke. But now you're basically right now it's still both of these are 1-1, but it's going to be close, and I don't think there's going to be any sweeps. I don't think there's definitely not going to be any sweeps. But I think both of these series are going at least 6 games, and that's great because from back and forth, from night on and night in and out, you really don't know who's going to win each series.
Yeah, I guess right now, obviously, we have a lot to break down before we get there. But right now, just how to put your finger on it, who is even the favorite right now in the East, in your opinion?
I can't even tell you right now. I've been a little bit disappointed from what I've seen from Toronto. I've seen a consistent effort out of Philadelphia, but not like a supreme effort. And then the other series, Milwaukee and Boston have both shown their positives and their weaknesses. So I can't really put my finger on it, but I think we're going to find out because I'm pretty sure that they say whoever wins Game 3 wins about 70% of the time wins the series. So that'll be a key factor.
Oh, wow.
Is it safe to put Toronto on the do not trust list in addition with the Denver Nuggets?
Personally, honestly, on the Nuggets note, what I saw last night out of Torrey Craig for a guy that broke his nose, came right back in, and then drilled a 3, and then got drilled again in the face, that's a guy you want on your basketball team. So I think maybe that could propel them a little bit. But they haven't really – they're the number 2 seed. You really haven't seen it. In Portland's been surprising everyone. But I think in terms of Toronto, you just need to see more of an effort from the rest of the team. You've got 3 All-Stars on the start – 3 – at one point, all-stars in the starting lineup, and it looks like they're just one of them, and that can't happen.
Yeah, I agree. You brought up that point, I think, a few days ago, Zach, and it hit me when I was watching today. It's like the Siakam and Leonard show, and that's it. Yeah. It's like 2 on 5, and they're doing a great job keeping it close because Leonard is playing at such a high level right now, and Siakam is playing really good too, but they need to get some production out of their other spots, or they're probably not going to beat the Sixers. You need a full team effort at this point in the playoffs, unless it's Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah, and even then, like you had Derek Fisher. These guys, you've got Kyle Lowry, who's a perennial all-star, and you just haven't seen it year in and year out in the postseason. I don't know if it's just like a psychological thing, but they need to break that. Right now, they've got home court. Right now, they're in Philadelphia. They're currently losing. They got another one in Philadelphia, and they could potentially be going back to Toronto down 3-1. If that's the case, that's not good because they were looking like they were playing really well in the first round. And this whole year they've been playing well enough to be the 2nd seed, but you still haven't gotten that overall effort. Me personally, I don't think Kyle Lowry deserved being an All-Star selection this year. I really just didn't see it out of him. And I love what I say to Siakam and Kawhi Leonard, but you need more than that. And they needed somebody else to step up because they got to change something up because this team right here is not getting to the NBA Finals.
Would you say it's more of that guys aren't stepping up on Toronto, or is it just Philly has been so good?
I'd probably have to say the former. It's just Philly is consistent, but they've got some good lockdown defenders, but they don't have anybody like Kawhi Leonard that's going to completely neutralize you to make you play your worst game. And I think it's on more Toronto than it is Philly's defense. Philly's playing good defense, but aside from Jimmy Butler, I don't know, he's defending one person. That person is probably most likely going to struggle. But it's been an overall like a team, like a mindset, and that's something that's got to change.
Yeah, I said with another friend of our shows, Bonte Hill, a couple weeks ago, I said that I think the winner of this series, it's the X factor, is going to be who plays better, the ultimate role player, Danny Green or J.J. Redick. And Danny Green has been horrible. I think he's hit 2 threes the entire series.
I can't trust him.
He's been bad. He just missed a wide open 3, and I think we're seeing that theme because for the most part, the stars are going to show up. So it's always kind of comes down to the battle of the role players. We see it with Golden State right now. Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala, they're out playing guys like Clint Capella, Nene, and those guys. And even what's my man's name? Tucker. PJ
Tucker.
So,
oh, yes, or Gerald Green will give you something.
That's usually, like, people don't think about that all the time, Zach. I'm sure you agree, but when you really look at the game and break it down, it's what teams' role players play better.
Exactly, and role players, people know, role players play better at home. So if you can get a role player to show out on the road, you got it made in the shade. And if they're doing it at home, like tonight I saw that, what's his name, James Ennis was playing really well for Philadelphia. That's fantastic. He's been on like 7 different teams in the past 5 years, but he always gives an effort. That's the kind of thing you need from the rest of your team. And if it's just from one guy on one bench, the other team's bench is not contributing, they're not going to be making it much farther into the playoffs.
All right, man. How about the other? We've been spent so much time on the Sixers. How about this Celtics-Bucks series? We got a tale of 2 games. Game 1, all Celtics from start to finish. Game 2, it was tight for about, through like midway through the second, and then all of a sudden it was blowout city. It's hard to even take things from those games because they were both such blowouts.
Personally, I thought Boston was going to take Game 1. I also thought that with the recent passing of John Havlicek, I think the team's spirits would be invigorated a little bit, and they'll be playing for him, and not just for their current fans, but some of the old Celtics fans. And they showed out in Game 1. And in Game 2, you knew they had a good game plan for Giannis in Game 1, but you knew that Milwaukee was not going to. They're decently battle tested, and you knew they weren't just going to roll over. I didn't expect the obliteration of Chris Middleton deciding not to miss the entire night, and Boston. Kyrie Irving struggled, Gordon Hayward struggled, Jason Tatum struggled, and overall the bench, I don't think the bench even scored more than 10, but they were out of it. You said, what do you say, early second half? They were out of it at the end of the first quarter. The game was a wash. They were sort of sticking around a little bit, but I think it was like a 24-2 run by Milwaukee. They knew that the game was over midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, I was watching the game, and then I walk away and come back, and all of a sudden it went from like 8 to like 24 in like 3 minutes.
This may be a stupid question, Zach, given the banner, the championship banner behind you, but which team is better at its best, Boston or Milwaukee?
I think when it's at its best, you can get more contributors out of Boston than you can out of Milwaukee. And I think Boston has more guys that can do it on their own without being set up. So on that end, I'd give it to Boston, but getting all those guys clicking at once is more difficult than Milwaukee's game plan of just kind of going through Giannis and him slinging it out to open three-point shooters.
Yeah, man, as someone who grew up in Philadelphia and as a fan of all Philly teams, it has pained me to say I do think Boston is going to come out the East because they're just the most talented team. Yeah, Giannis has been a great story, MVP frontrunner, the Bucks first place. But I just trust the guys on Boston way more than I trust the guys on Milwaukee. That's just my opinion. Everyone has theirs. But how about, we go back over to the West. We haven't chatted about the team that Mark and I cover every day, the Golden State Warriors. How do you see that series playing out? I think Golden State, obviously, is in real good shape, not only because they're up 2-0, obviously, but the way they played has been very, assertive.
Yeah, I expected more of a kind of an effort out of Houston, especially after them complaining that they kind of got screwed out of the call last year, and then them losing in Game 1, and Durant had a great game. But in Game 2, when they really had an opportunity to rebound, they didn't. And it's not like anybody on Golden State had that great of a game. They put in a good overall team effort, but it wasn't anything that was going to blow you away, and what Houston had wasn't enough. And I think it's just their style play. When Harden's hitting these ISO threes, he can go for 35 and 10, but when he's not, and they're forcing him to take twos, they can shift the defense and contain him. And aside from him and Chris Paul, who's really starting to show his age, and I think all the miles he's put on his career is really starting to show. Eric Gordon's hit or miss. PJ Tucker's a great defender, but he's not going to give you more than 10 or 15. Capella's been a shell of himself the entire year, and they really just don't have that person off the bench that could give them that third scoring option that they really need. I don't think they're going to get swept. But I think they're going to take Game 3, but I think Golden State's going to win from there on out.
Yeah, so a gentleman's sweep. Golden State in 5.
I just can't